It's great to have Eleanor Goddard from Furnish and Fettle here in the studio with me today. Eleanor, thanks so much for coming in. Tell us a bit more, because it's quite interesting where you guys are at the moment, because it's all a relatively new business, isn't it?
It is, Alex. Yes, basically Furnish and Fettle was born last summer on the morning of Brexit, actually, which was a
well timed possibly.
Indeed. So yes, we bought the James Brindley business in Wetherby, which had to be rebranded, so Furnish and Fettle was born then.
Fantastic. And I also hear there's some more exciting news as well. You guys don't really hang about, from what I gather.
No, we definitely don't. So we had the opportunity to buy the James Brindley Interior Design division in January this year. So we set ourselves a very short timescale, and we opened our second Furnish and Fettle showroom in Royal Parade at the end of March.
So that's in Harrogate, obviously,
that's right
by Valley Garden. So within what time frame was that from opening your doors initially to then opening up your Harrogate branch? Must have been about 6 months, I guess.
I think it's slightly longer. I think it's eight or 9 months.
There you go. Pretty impressive stuff. So, given that you've now sort of taken out the James Brindley side of things, what you've got this amalgamation. What are the sort of things that, say, yourselves and an interior designer, what are the services that you actually offer now?
Right, well, essentially now we've got the original James Brindley interior design team back together.
Okay.
So we've got a very established team of people that are used to working together, and not only do we have the design team, we also have the installations team, and that's really important, because it doesn't matter how good a design is if actually when you get your curtains arrive, if they don't fit properly and they're not put up properly, the end result isn't going to be that great. So that's really key to what we offer, is the whole process, really. So we can offer anything from whether it's just a tin of paint or a roll of wallpaper for a feature wall, right through to a full interior design service, and we can also work on larger projects and renovation projects in conjunction with architects. So we really can offer that whole process.
And how does an interior designer actually help a homeowner? What can you actually do? What do you do?
Yeah, I think it's a big misconception that interior designers are really only there for people like footballers' wives in these amazing, great big pants.
Yeah, there is often that impression. Yes.
Yeah, so I mean, we really offer two different sides to the way that we work. I mean, there's the very sort of straightforward, accessible to everybody option, where you can come into our showroom and you can spend the time choosing the right colour and getting that expert advice, which won't cost you any more than if you went to B&Q to buy your tin of paint.
Got you. So that's I suppose is the more simplistic side of things, and
absolutely.
It's the general sort of basics for wallpaper and paint. And then what's the reverse side of things?
The reverse side of things is that you would pay an interior design fee, which is £175, which we're confident is market leading for the value that represents. So the designer would then come out to your home and would spend as much time as they need to understanding what it is that you're really looking to achieve from your project, and how you live in the space, how you want it to feel, and what it is that you're looking for at the end of that project. They would then come back to the showroom, and they'd put a lot of work in behind the scenes, getting different things together and sourcing pieces for you and pulling a scheme together, perhaps getting some ideas for different wall coverings or fabrics for your curtains together. And then at that stage they'd probably invite you back into the showroom and take you through it. So all the way through, it's a collaborative process. I mean, essentially, we're pulling together all the different products that are out there in the marketplace, and it's a vast marketplace. I mean, I think we've got something like over 100 different suppliers just of fabrics.
Oh, crikey.
And I know for a fact that we've got over 2,000 fabric books just in Harrogate, because we had to move them from James Brindley into our own showroom at Wetherby.
So that's really where an interior designer will come into their own, because they will intrinsically know inside out all of that information and can pinpoint various options and save effectively the homeowner a lot of time and hassle, and sort of start to hone in on specifics at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's that when you would walk in, and we see it all the time. People walk into the showroom and they go, "Oh, crikey, where do I start?" And you say, "Right, okay, well, what are you looking for?" "Oh, I want some curtains for my lounge." And it's then paring that down to actually what it is they're looking for, and being able to then take them to perhaps looking through 5 or 6 books, which might then have 30 fabrics in each, and being able to pare that down to a couple of choices, and just taking away that completely overwhelming situation that you can walk in and go, oh.
I mean, I quite agree. And I mean, what happens? I mean, obviously, a lot of listeners they've got children. Everyone's always mindful, and you pick up these fantastic sort of interior design magazines. It's all beautiful and white, and sort of very much sort of the French country look sort of thing.
Yeah.
How can you guys sort of fit in with that? Because again, if you're a sort of family with children, you can't have that sort of pristine white.
Yeah, I think it's really important because it's our job really to make sure that the space just doesn't look beautiful, but it actually works. So if somebody comes to us and tells us that they live on a farm and they've got 3 dogs, the last thing we're going to suggest they do is, have a beautiful cream sofa. Yeah. We're going to suggest to them that perhaps you need something a little bit more practical, something that, you were going to be able to get cleaned, something that you're going to be able to perhaps put a throw over it to stop it. Getting the dogs can jump on the throw and then you can chuck the throw in the washing machine. We are very practical as well as having that sort of design side of it, and I think the two very much need to marry together to make sure that it works.
How does it work if I know we've sort of just briefly touched on the budget side of things. Obviously, as you said at the beginning, if you are sort of footballer's wife territory and budget's no option, it's meaningless, that's fantastic. But what happens if you're the other side of the fence and you're saying, well look, I just need a helping hand in the right direction, but I'm a bit more constrained on budget? How can you then help a homeowner to get that look?
I think it's going back to that industry knowledge. So if somebody tells us they've got a budget, we can work within that budget, and the designers are trained to know, which items are going to make a really big difference. So it might be that together with your designer, you would choose to spend a lot of money on a real big wow piece. In a bedroom, it might be having a beautiful upholstered bed head made in a lovely fabric. But then you might choose to use a less expensive fabric on your huge windows, and therefore you're making that budget go a little bit further. And there are lots of clever ways, and it's having that access to all of those different suppliers and the knowledge of what to get from where, and then that sense of style that these guys have into being able to pull it all together that is really going to make the difference. So you don't always have to spend a lot of money to get a really good look.
With your experience in the business, what are your, I suppose, top tips if someone is looking to appoint and instruct an interior designer? What are the key things in your mind that people should be mindful of, and sort of any potential pitfalls that they should avoid?
I think the absolute key to it is finding somebody that you get on with and that you can work with and that will listen to what you're saying to them and will take it on board, and the things they're coming back with are going in the right direction. And that's easy to test out, because you can come along to one of our showrooms, which is what we suggest most people do as a starting point, and you can just browse through some fabrics. You can chat to the designers, because we've got lots of designers, and it might be that one designer you particularly gel with more than another, and that's really important, because you're going to be spending a lot of time with this person, and you're going to be perhaps having them in your house and sharing sort of your personal space with them. So you really do need to be on the same wavelength, and to make sure that you work together, and you need to enjoy working with them, because at the end of the day it's meant to be a fun process.
No, it is indeed. And I suppose just on a parting note, if someone just said, well look, I just want, I suppose, reorientating and pointing in the right direction, as you said, the designer can come out for £175, but I guess there's no obligation. They can sort of say, well, Alex, you know what you need to do, what we think you need to do, X, Y and Z, and
that's absolutely fine. And some people do that, and then they'll come in and they might just buy a mirror and a lamp, and then we never see them again. Other people might decide to take down all the old curtains and start from scratch. Either's absolutely fine.
Fantastic stuff. Well, Eleanor, I can't thank you enough for coming in. And if people wanted to sort of chat through everything in more detail with you, what's the best way to sort of reach you guys?
Yeah, you can come in and see us, I think is the best thing. I mean, it's very much a touch and feel kind of business, and we like to think we're the sort of the friendly, approachable side of interior design. We have a website as well, so if you want to have a look and have a read about us before you do that, we're www.furnishingfettle.co.uk, or you can call us at either of our showrooms. The number for Wetherby is 01937 581 451, and our new Harrogate number is 01423 560 757.
Fantastic. Eleanor, thank you once again, really appreciate it.
Thank you, Alex.